ask staff to invite all representatives of KPMG LLP to present. And I'll just check in, has everyone from KPMG on that needs to be on? And are you ready to present?
Let me just check the participant list.
Yeah, let's make sure.
To make sure we're all here.
New virtual world, we want to.
Right. Lisa's on. Steve is on. Jane is on. Paul, are you on? Brianne? Bridget? Seth? I think we might still be waiting for.
Yeah, no rush. We'll just make sure everybody's on before we kick it off.
Sure. So I see Bridget's in.
Yes, Brianne just joined. We're slowly but surely joining.
Gotcha.
I was in the process of sending out the 15-minute warning, and then they said, no, we're ready. I was like, oh, great. Well, let me change my message.
Yeah, it took me a couple tries to get in. So others, let me, Lisa, did you, can you text Peggy to see if Paul can get Paul?
Yes, she is joining, or sorry, he is joining. She just responded.
Gotcha. Jane's on, correct?
Yes, I see her here.
I am here.
Right, so Paul's so it looks like Paul is, we're waiting on Paul, right?
Yes.
Took me a minute to figure out the passcode, so maybe he's having issues with that.
Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, we're just waiting for one of our team members to join, if we could have a minute.
No worries.
Or so. I know you're at the end of a long day.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we've all been dealing with the challenges of a new way of doing things, so
yeah,
still on that learning curve.
Yeah, we all want to thank you for allowing us to dress up today. It's kind of a new.
Well, we'll have to take your word for it. We can only see what we can see.
Right. And I know during the pre-call, folks from Calpers were kind enough to tell us they'll drive the slides. So I just have to make a queue, and someone will advance the slides on the Calpers side.
I'll direct that to staff. I'm not sure how the magic is working.
This is David. Yes, that is correct. Just say the word and we will advance. We are still waiting for Paul. I did try to give him a call, but got voicemail. I will keep the meeting open for right now until he joins. So
Sure.
we just kind of keep an eye out for maybe for a minute longer.
So, Mr. Chairman, as I'm typing this email, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm a storyteller. One of my 20 years ago, we were making an audit committee presentation to a Taft-Hartley plan. And one of our key members was a little bit late, and I was a junior staff person. And they decided, time to go. And as the first bead of sweat started to form on my forehead, the partner walked in and saved the day. And we probably needed to give him a minute to compose himself since he was kind of rushing in at the end. But I do appreciate your patience.
Yeah, no worries. This is a very, very high priority decision for us, and a few minutes, one way or the other, will, a few minutes to relax and wait is not a problem.
Okay, looks like Paul's coming on board now.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Paul, just want to verify you're on. Great.
Yeah, I'm starting my video. 1 second here. I apologize. I thought I had it started. You can hear me okay, though?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yep, no worries. So at this time, I'll be asking Kpmg LLP to present. Your firm was asked not to view the interviews that preceded you. Can you confirm to the best of your knowledge that your firm did not view those interviews?
We can confirm.
Okay, Kpmg LLP, thank you. You will have 10 minutes for your presentation, and staff will please start the clock for 10 minutes when Kpmg LLP staff begins their presentation.
Mr. Chairman, just one point of, is the clock going to show up on the screen?
It should be there. Let me see if I can see it. Yes, it's you may have to scroll the top of your screen over to find it, because it appears as if it was a participant on mine.
Yep.
Yep.
No, they warned us of that. So
yeah, and
okay.
It may move when different people have the mic. I'm not sure. It does on mine sometimes, so you may have to chase it around a little bit. But
Sure.
You should be able to keep it in view.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm ready to start whenever the timer is.
Okay. Whenever you're ready, they will turn it on.
Great. So thank you and good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Before we begin, we wanted to first offer our hope that you, your families, and the extended Calpers team is managing through these uncertain times. We also wanted to thank you for the opportunity to present our qualifications to you this afternoon. As you can see from the cover of our slide deck, one of our key messages today is a strong foundation for a new beginning. We could please advance the slide deck? Great, thank you so much. This slide shares with you the KPMG team that's with you here today and their role in the team. For the record, my name is Brock Romano, and I will be your lead audit engagement partner, directly responsible for KPMG's audit team. It's a role I'm very familiar with, having served as your lead audit partner in 2018. For our 10-minute presentation, 4 of us will be touching upon those key attributes that make KPMG the right firm to be your long-term partner. In a moment, I'll ask my 3 other presenters to introduce themselves. But before I do that, I wanted to mention that in the Q&A session that follows, you'll have a chance to engage with all of our team members.
Hi, my name is Jane Letts. I will serve as your account executive. In this role, I will work with the engagement team to ensure a quality audit consistent with the firm's rigorous engagement quality standards. I will also serve as the national, state, and local government audit sector leader and have significant experience serving other large multi-billion-dollar public pension plans.
Hi, my name is Lisa Avis, and I will serve as the second partner on the engagement. I have spent my career serving state and local government entities, and I am based here in Sacramento.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Paul Knopf. I'm the chair and CEO of Kpmg. I just want to spend a few moments on our commitment to Calpers, and first, thank you for this opportunity to propose to serve you. One of our 5 core values at Kpmg is excellence, and that was top of mind as we assembled this engagement team to serve Calpers. We're proud of our leadership position in this industry and the expertise that we will bring to bear in serving Calpers. Kpmg has been on a journey over the past 2 years to differentiate our firm through achieving best-in-class culture and a world-class ethics and compliance organization. We've had independent assessments in both of those areas, and we've appointed a chief culture officer. We have put purpose, values, and culture front and center for all of our 35,000 people. Our strategy is driven by our purpose, and trust is a key pillar of our strategy. My commitment to you is that trust, integrity, and character will be our North Star as we serve Calpers and all of our clients. And then finally, I also wanted to touch on inclusion and diversity. It's a key strategic priority for Kpmg. On June 19th, I announced our efforts around a multi-year strategy so that Kpmg looks more like America in 2025 than it does today. Being more inclusive and diverse is not only a strategic imperative, it is the absolute right thing to do. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity, and we look forward to taking your questions later.
Thank you, Paul. I was wondering if we could advance to the next slide, please. Great, thank you so much. So this slide depicts how our approach will translate into your success. Throughout our presentation, we'll touch upon each of the elements depicted here, with the core concept being our belief of having our leaders serving forward-leading entities such as Calpers. And I really want to start with the obvious. It's the gorilla in the room for us. It's, we want you back. We want this business back. And there's really no better demonstration of our desire of wanting you back than the level of engagement by the leaders of the firm that are part of this engagement team. At KPMG, we recognize that wanting something is not the same as earning it. So let me take a few minutes to talk about the KPMG value proposition for Calpers. For us, it starts with understanding you. Our experience as your auditors in 2018 confirmed to us that Calpers cares deeply about governance, data protection, and advancing technologies, to name a few. It's from that understanding that we developed an audit strategy that is most responsive to your needs. In the interest of time, I'm going to touch upon 2 examples of being responsive, one our team and the second on our leveraging of technologies. In terms of our team, we've assembled a team of experienced professionals supported by local and national resources. including specialists with deep vertical experience in their subject matter areas, including actuarial, investment valuation, information technology, census data testing, and most importantly, and really sometimes less prominent in other firms' approach to auditing public pension plans, and that's GASB reporting. Our experience tells us that having our GASB proficient professionals lead our public employee retirement system engagements, besides being a differentiator for us, is also a crucial success factor for you. This is an example of the relevant experience you'll hear us talk more about this afternoon. And just a couple more points on our team, if I could. All of the key members of our 2018 team are returning for this engagement, and most of us work with each other on a number of similar engagements. We are cross-functional in many areas, such as investments, insurance, census testing, which allows us to combine the best of more than one discipline to bring solutions to your issues. In terms of technology, we are going to leverage the investments KPMG has been making in technology and data and analytics to enhance the audit experience and bring you efficiencies in our audit approach. Hopefully you were able to click through some of the links in our proposal to learn more about KPMG Clara, our new intuitive audit platform. One area I'll highlight for you now is the use of our client collaboration portal, or KCCC. KCCC has automated the dreaded prepared by client, or PBC process. It offers a secure portal to exchange information. It provides real-time transparency on how the audit is progressing, and it's accessible to any member of the Calpers team, including members of the Risk and Audit Committee, should you want to follow the progress of the audit. I've rolled out KCCC to all of my clients this summer, and the feedback has been very positive. Let me wrap up my segment where I started. I said earlier we want you back, but let me share with you one major example how we've made it easier for you to actually have us back. We've pre-vetted your contracting documents with our legal and risk management departments. Included with our RFP submission are all of our contracting observations, most of which are meant to clarify and comply with applicable AICPA professional standards. So sitting here today, I can firmly tell you that we are ready to finalize your contracting documents.
Thank you, Brock. I am absolutely thrilled to be here to give you a perspective of KPMG from a national perspective. KPMG is a leader nationally, providing more public pension plan audit and advisory services than any other firm. We currently audit 5 of the top 20 largest and most complex state and local government pension plans. And if we counted our 2018 experience with you, that would make it 6. Our dedicated national resources helped develop the GASB pension standards, led the task force to develop the AICPA white papers, and led the profession with the implementation of those standards. All of the team members bring this in-depth knowledge and experience, and we are prepared to work alongside you as leaders serving leaders.
Thank you. I want to touch on a couple of points my team has mentioned. Jane discussed our experience with government and public pension plans, and the team that we brought together are leaders in their industry, and these are the team members with prior experience with these audits. Having our industry leaders and the continuity to serve you reduces complexity and results in zero transition for you. So you will not need to spend the amount of time and resources needed to transition us in as auditors. We know you, we know the industry, we know what it takes to serve you. The fact that you had these leaders serve you and want to continue to serve you shows our commitment to you. Your audits will be served by our local California team members, and our core team is just 2 blocks away. I know that risk management is one of your strategic goals, and we hope to further discuss the importance of data security in our Q&A, but just as equally important as IT security is the security of the information you have on site and within my Calpers. So the close proximity of our staff and the 150 people in our Sacramento office allow us to be there for you when you need us. A diverse workforce is also one of your strategic goals. We've discussed diversity at a national level, and the team we have brought to you today embraces our initiatives, and our team members lead subcommittees at a local level. So for example, Brianne here, she's a co-chair to our Los Angeles KPMG network of women. I am the chair for our local Hispanic Latino network. So we embrace the uniqueness each individual brings to the workplace every day, not only with KPMG, but with our clients. So in closing, I just want to reiterate what Brock had said. We want you back. You need a firm whose initiatives align with your strategic goals. As we've said on this slide here, our approach equals your success. So again, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. You can advance to the next slide and we welcome your questions.
Great. Thank you. We will now proceed to the 20-minute question and answer segment of the interview. Kpmg LLP, you have a total of 8 questions, so please plan your time accordingly. Staff will please start the clock for 20 minutes when the first question is asked. And I will be asking the first question, and so here we go. Confirm that your firm has read the proposed contract included in the RFP at Exhibit 4 and is prepared to sign these terms and conditions as they've been presented if your firm is the successful proposer.
So this is Brock Romano, Mr. Chairman. I will answer that. Yes, we have read the contract. And as I stated in my opening remarks, we're ready to finalize that document. There were some modifications that we had suggested that would allow us, and quite frankly, I think all of the proposing firms to be compliant with AICPA professional standards. So I think confirm we've read it and confirm we're ready to finalize it.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is from Ms. Middleton.
All right, thank you. And I know you touched on this, but I'm going to ask, please describe your firm's culture and values. How do they align with Calpers' diversity and inclusion? What concrete steps and metrics is your firm using to ensure a diverse workforce?
That's an excellent question. Thank you, Ms. Middleton. Paul, if I could maybe ask you to, as the chairman of the firm, to respond to that, and the rest of us can supplement if need be.
Oh, I think you're muted, sir.
Courage, together and for better. And we run everything through the filters of those five core values. Diversity, we've recently announced Accelerate 2025, where we are trying to put a multi-year strategy in place to ensure that KPMG looks a lot more like America in 2025 than it does today. So today, my management committee is composed of 5 women and 6 men, and 3 of the 11 management committee members are Black colleagues. So we have diversity on that management committee. We have diversity on our board, but we want all of our 35,000 KPMG employees and partners to look more like America than we do today. So, we are on a journey where we are looking at how we bring people into KPMG through recruiting, how we help underrepresented groups. All underrepresented groups are in the focus for this effort to ensure that every underrepresented group feels comfortable at KPMG, can build a career at KPMG, and could advance to the highest levels of KPMG. The multi-year strategy is being led by 4 different work streams and task force, and being led by our Chief Diversity Officer. And we are committed to ensuring that KPMG looks like our clients and looks like America over the long term. Are we satisfied with where we're at today? No, because we do not look in the same percentages of our workforce like America looks today. But it is a strategic and key priority for my term, which is the next 5 years, to ensure that we continue to build both an inclusive and diverse workforce. Inclusive in the sense that we need a diversity of thoughts and diversity of views, and diversity for every underrepresented group within KPMG, and that is our commitment.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Mr. Ruffino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What sets your firm apart from the other public accounting firms? Why should we select a large firm versus a smaller firm or vice versa? What are the benefits?
Thank you. This is Brock Ramon. I was just jotting down the question so I could try to be as responsive as I could. I think that's an excellent question. And quite frankly, I'm sure you've heard from 4 firms who have told you why they're different. I'm going to try and approach this in 2 tranches. There's a bunch of tangible things that we think are unique to KPMG. You've heard some of them in our presentation. You're going to hear more of them as we progress. You know, you did mention big firm versus small firm. We're obviously one of the big 4 firms. We are the only big 4 firm that has a dedication to this space. In this space, I mean state and local governments, public employee retirement systems in particular. It's not something that we do casually. It's something that people on this team have spent their entire career doing. I wanted to, and I wanted to also talk about what I think is an intangible item. So you know, I've mentioned some of the tangible. We'll talk more about them as we progress. But in terms of intangible items, I think the one thing that makes KPMG different, and having spent all of my professional career at the firm, we are a people-centric organization. And what and Paul just described that. Lisa, in her opening remarks, shared some of the activities that she's involved with to demonstrate the people-centric culture. And for me, if we KPMG can take care of our people, our people will take care of our clients. And I think that's something that I learned a long time ago. There was a past chairman who was the head of our practice, and he used to go to firm-wide events for our group and say, we want to delight our clients. Now that's an archaic term. We don't use terms like that anymore in terms of delight. But what his point was is that we want to meet and exceed the expectations of our client. And just a few more items on the tangible part of the Big 4 firm, the vast resources of the firm, the thought leadership. We have a chief economist on staff who's been very valuable and insightful to many of our large public pension clients, something that we've offered to other clients. Certainly would make her available to Calpers if Calpers had the desire to have an interaction with the leading economist from our firm. Things like that really differentiate a large firm resources versus maybe, say, a smaller firm of resources.
Okay, thank you. So next question. What is your firm's experience in auditing large public pension systems with complex investments similar to Calpers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will take that question first. And again, maybe a 2-part answer if we could. I'll ask Jane to speak about our national expertise. Actually, you know what? Let me change that. Let me ask Seth to talk about our experience when it comes to auditing investments in the context of a large pension plan. And before he does that, I'll just share my experience, maybe on a personal level. And to me, you know, our experience, there's no more valuable experience, quite frankly, than having worked with you. And we obtained that valuable insight in 2018 when we worked with you. And in my opening remarks, I made a comment about how we think GASB reporting is an important element here because that's your reporting framework. And one of the unique experiences in my professional career is I had the opportunity to work in our financial services practice for many years. I'm still a member of our financial services practice. That means I've worked with insurance companies. I've worked with regulated investment companies. I'm a lead audit partner on many alternative investment clients. I'm actually a concurring partner on one of Seth's alternative investment clients. And that unique experience allows me to coordinate the vast resources that we have here on the team in a way that kind of coalesces our team and lets us work kind of seamlessly. Something that's maybe a little unique to KPMG, maybe a little unique to myself, but it's a value add that we can bring to Calpers. And I've gone a little long, Seth. I apologize if I could turn the floor over to you.
All good. I was going to thank you for being such a great concurring partner on our other mutual engagements. So, thank you guys for the opportunity to present today. So I'm Seth Blackman, and I would be responsible for leading the audit work over your investment portfolio. And I serve as the asset management practice leader here in Northern California, where KPMG has the largest dedicated asset management audit team amongst all the firms presenting today. So I think that's important for three main points. First, we're going to take a risk-based approach to testing your investments. And what we're going to do is bifurcate the portfolio by product and asset class, and considering the risk associated with each of your holdings. We'll key in on valuation, existence, ownership, and accuracy, and be able to provide that value feedback to you about our results in testing. Second, our team has experience across, every investment product as a global firm, and we're well suited to deliver a quality audit. In the clients that we serve here in the Bay Area, they invest in every single product type. So, having seen your portfolio, we understand it, we know how to approach it, and we're able to deliver our work to you. In my role as the asset management practice leader, I can also personally commit that you will have access to top teams, top staffing, and a priority engagement for our folks here in the Bay Area. Lastly, and this is the part that I'm most excited about, to your question about auditing investments in a portfolio as large as Calpers, we've now at KPMG seen the benefit of incorporating our new technology routines that we've spent a considerable amount of time and effort and money to build a more quality audit product that helps our team not only be more effective, but more efficient and provide a higher quality engagement. So these innovations were a core differentiator in the market. And I think it's also worth pointing out to you that this is a significant driver of the lower fees that we provided in our proposal. We didn't keep our fees exactly the same as the last proposal. We're sharing our success with you. We're investing in the technology and letting you come along the journey with us. So let me share some of those innovations that I think you'll be hopefully impressed by. We can now test realized and unrealized gains through automation, purchase and sales, valuation work. We have technology that reads underlying legal documents. We can perform routines that automate many of the confirmations that used to be more manual and involve a lot of team members to do. And lastly, we also incorporated data and analytics routines that can use data extraction and reporting and test work that flow into financial statement reporting. So when you take a step back and think about the innovations that KPMG has made over the course of our journey on this technology journey, we're here to share in those successes with you and also provide a more efficient and effective audit for you that will give your team back discretionary time because audits are involve process, and we're very proud of that innovation and happy to share that with you and our cost savings to you as well in that area.
Great, thank you. Next question to Ms. Middleton.
All right, thank you. Calpers is constantly impacted by new laws and regulations. How will your firm ensure your staff is up to date with regulatory requirements for public pension systems?
I'll take that question, Brock.
Cool. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. So our training requirements far exceed the regulatory requirements that are imposed by governments and the standard setting bodies. So we need to ensure that our staff are up to date with all the aspects of their jobs. For example, Seth's investment team, they not only need to be up to date on the training requirements specific to their industry, but when working on this engagement, there are also government trainings that they need to be in compliance with before they even step foot on site. So as a team, we track compliance for each individual. Now, as a firm, we're also on the cutting edge of emerging issues. So not only do we closely follow the activities that are taking place at the GASB and at the AICPA, but we participate. So I was actually a practice fellow with the GASB for 2 years. And in that role, I was able to assist firsthand in the development of GASB standards. So I was able to see the thought process and the reasoning in establishing some of these standards, and that enables us to guide you in compliance with the accounting, reporting, and disclosure requirements in the standards. We also have partners with the firm who chair task force committees for pensions and OPEB. We serve on AICPA committees. So we bring something that no other firm can provide by having liaisons serve in those roles. So I said earlier that we participate, but we do more than that. We actually lead in this space.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from Mr. Ruffino.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So how does your firm plan on ensuring compliance with revised 508 standards for accessibility of all deliverables, including any electronic content?
Thank you. I'll try to field that question if I could. So our experience in 2008 educated us on the need to have our audit products deliverable in mediums that are accessible to Calpers users. I won't sit here and tell you that I pretend to understand all the ins and outs of how our folks make that happen. I will tell you that that's something we're aware of. It's actually something that we were aware of in terms of submitting our handout today that had to meet certain compliance requirements. And so it's top of mind to us, the needs of Calpers, the needs to have our information in a format that's meets your standards and accessible to your constituents. And we will bring in the resources of the firm to make sure that happens and partner with you so that we get it right the first time.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Please explain your proposed fees and your rationale for allocating staff hours across all 5 years. Do you anticipate less effort in each subsequent year? And if so, how is that built into your fee structure?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Brock Romano. I'll respond to that initially and then invite my colleagues in if they would like. So a couple of points on fees. I think from just a pure strategy perspective, fees for us are always about value, and they're not necessarily about an absolute dollar amount. I think Calpers understands that. I think you've been public about wanting value, relative value for fees. Having said that, when we went about setting our fees, we had a little bit of a competitive advantage over some of the respondents in the sense that as your auditors in 2018, we had a baseline understanding of what the level of effort was. And so that was our starting point. Our starting point was what was the level of effort from the last time we proposed. And then it was an exercise of, well, what's changed? What do we know today that we didn't know back in February of 2019 when we last presented to the Risk and Audit Committee? And at the time, KPMG Clara was still in development. Well, fast forward today, KPMG Clara is in deployment. We're actually using it. We're seeing the tangible benefits. So we were able to apply that knowledge and those planned savings from our use of the investments in technology. Seth touched upon some of them. If Brianne has a chance, she might be able to touch upon them when we do our census test work. And so what that has done is actually we're anticipating that technology will lead to efficiencies in the future. So if you notice in our proposal, our hours actually go down over the term of the 5-year contract. Our fees stay stable because obviously our rates are kind of increasing. Our costs go up every year as the cost just to run a size firm of KPMG, those costs increase, but we're expecting our technology improvements to more than offset those. And that's resulted in a lower base fee than what we were able to provide to you last time. I think, highly competitive relative to our competition. And two, we expect it to go down with fee savings. I do maybe want to invite Paul into the discussion. I had a series of discussions with the leadership of the firm, including our chairman, Paul Knopp, when we were setting the fees. And Paul, I don't know if you wanted to share some of those conversations with the committee.
Yeah, Brock, thank you. I was involved in those discussions from day one around the fees, and we really see, as Brock and Seth said, technology, innovation, and modernization, allowing us over a period of time to be more efficient. So you often see fees going up over time, but we really felt that we were going to be able to modernize our efforts to ensure that we can deliver value to Calpers in the fee structure that we provided. So we really think it's very appropriate, and I'm happy to take any other questions about it.
In the few seconds left, is there anything else you would like to add?
So, Mr. Chairman, we didn't quite get to all of our presenters. If I could take a minute and ask each one of them to introduce themselves and maybe explain just a little bit their role. I'd appreciate it. I'd hate to have them join this and not have a chance to kind of interact with the committee.
Sadly, we are out of time for this interview portion, but I believe that was in the slides and certainly in the material you've given us. So
was it by design? We wanted to.
We didn't get that opportunity.
It's okay.
So, at this point, I would just like to say is there any follow-up questions from any of the subcommittee members to ask at this point?
Mr. Chair, I do have two questions that I would like to ask.
Okay.
All right. The first one is very straightforward. Can you give me your understanding of the role as an independent auditor that you have with the board and with the staff?
Sure. This is Brock Romano. Let me take that opportunity. So our first responsibility is to the board and ultimately the stakeholders, those contributing employers, the active and retired participants. It's really the exercise, and it's really the liaison with management that allows us to fulfill those responsibilities. So while we work closely with management to plan and conduct the audit, ultimately we're reporting to the audit, the Risk and Audit Committee, and I think one of the things that Paul and I talked about was asking Paul if in his role as chairman of the firm to be available to the committee, especially the chair and the vice chair. Paul, I'm going to explain what's something I think maybe I'd let you explain to the committee.
Yeah, no, I've been, before I became chair and CEO, I was an audit professional for 36 and a half years, serving audit clients the last 36 and a half years. And, we work for this committee and the board. And I would like for you to have a point of contact with me in the future, where if you have questions about our firm, or I need some insights from you, that I direct my relationship with this committee, and you have access to Kpmg through me too. So, it won't just be this core engagement team that we presented today, which is a phenomenal team that we think we fielded, but I want you to feel that you have all the resources of Kpmg. So I want to make sure that all of you as members of the committee feel welcome to interact with me in the future, and we can do that in a number of different ways.
All right, thank you. Last question that I have for you. I came on the board in May of 2019. So I was not here for your last year and for decisions to move elsewhere. Well, as someone who's was not here when Kpmg was last with Calpers, what would you like me to know?
Let me take a stab at that, Ms. Middleton. So I think that this Kpmg team back in 2018 did a phenomenal job in the execution of the audit. under what was somewhat unusual circumstances. The circumstances under which we were hired was slightly different than this exercise. From the time we signed the contract in June to the time we delivered the audit report in November was kind of an expedited cycle, not unlike what BDO probably went through last year. But what was a little bit different is that at the time that we were being onboarded with Calpers was going through a little bit of a management change. The controller position was open. The CFO resigned shortly after us getting onboarded, and so we struggled through a rhythm with that initial first few months. And if there was one thing that I could change and go back in time with doing is that we had several conversations with the CFO prior to his departure that we ultimately probably should have had with the audit committee and the audit committee chair. And I, in November, actually had a conversation with the then chair and vice chair and started the dialogue with them that I probably should have started earlier. And as a way to help them understand, what some of the transition process was like. And I think that's one of the things that we've changed this time. We've added a leadership position that I think gives the chair and vice chair, and really, quite frankly, the entire audit and risk committee, access to the highest levels of the firm. We will not repeat the missteps that we may have had back in the first time as it relates to communication. I think the audit work that we did was spot on, was superior. I thought we did great service. This team did a phenomenal job. They put their lives on hold. We're ready and willing to do that again. We really, this was an exciting opportunity. I think the last thing I said to a member of the Calpers management team as we got the sad news in 2019, it was a unique privilege having to work with Calpers. It's a privilege that I'd like to have back.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank the representatives from Kpmg LLP for their time today. This concludes the interview, and I appreciate everyone's patience with all the new technology and different way of doing business here with conducting these in a virtual format, and ask you to now leave the WebEx.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one question, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one question, please. Will Calpers be announcing a decision tonight? Should we hang on to rejoin, or something we could disperse for the evening?
Let me double back with staff to make sure we've got the right answer on that. I think you probably could log out. You'd probably come back in now. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, actually, we will be doing our process. Then this will go to the Risk and Audit Committee and then go to the board, if I'm correct. But I think I'll ask Ms. Diadamo to, or Ms. Nix, whoever's available and has the answer at the tip of their tongue.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, yes. What'll happen is we'll spend some time, the board will spend some time scoring this, and then we'll come back in and announce those scores publicly, and there'll be a recommendation for somebody to move forward to be presented as the successful candidate to the Risk and Audit Committee, who will then meet about it in November, and then go ahead and present that to the full board for approval.
And
so the answer is you could probably log into the public website to watch the final, bits of this, but after the scoring. but you don't have to. It's your choice.
Thank you so much.
Hopefully that clarifies it. Thank
But
you.
this by no means would be finalized until the RAC committee in full makes the recommendation to the board in November.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. So we will now determine an interview score as a group for each of the finalists. The maximum number of points is 700. And is there any discussion, or would anyone like to motion a score for BDO USA LLP? So any discussion at this point?
Could I ask a process question?
Sure.
Are we allowed among the three of us to have a general discussion of impressions of each of the presentations, or do we need to move directly into assigning a score before we have any communication with one another?
You're certainly allowed to discuss it. Legal, can you verify that? But I'm certain that it's okay.
Me too.
So with that, I was least impressed with the presentations of Deloitte and Eat Bailey. And I thought both were passable. I was not particularly impressed with either one. I thought in different ways, CLA and KPMG both made very strong presentations. I was impressed that KPMG's chair and CEO was a part of the presentation. That was direct evidence of how much they want to get this business back. CLA, I was very impressed with the extent of expertise they have in public pensions and their ability to talk about that experience. BDO that we have worked with, and they came in at the last minute and have not only did they make a very strong presentation, they've been very, very good to work with. Without getting to scores, that's my overview of the five organizations we saw today.
Mr. Chair, this is Robert Carlin from the Calpers Legal Office. I just wanted to chime in and confirm that it's perfectly appropriate for all the subcommittee members, as well as non-committee members, to discuss everything before the subcommittee comes to a formal motion for a vote.
Yeah, thank you. I concur with Ms. Middleton's comments. I also thought the BDO did a good job of reflecting our values and their appreciation of our values. But I want to see if Mr. Ruffino has any thoughts, and then I'll go to the other members who may have some thoughts who are not part of the subcommittee. Okay, I'm not seeing anything from Mr. Ruffino, so let's see, who have I got next here? Ms. Brown.
Thank you, Chair Miller. I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to listen to the interviews. I thought they were interesting, varied. Most importantly, I thought some of the interviews were very sincere. It truly impresses me when a firm can understand where they need to improve and to actually be able to explain that to us. And I do agree with Ms. Middleton about KPMG having their CEO on the interview panel and the comments at the very end. I thought the question was great, Ms. Middleton, about why they maybe lost the engagement in 2019, and that they went back and looked it over and maybe have solved what didn't work the first time around. But I appreciate honesty and sincerity. They are going to be our auditors. I think that's key. I think they have skill. They all have skills, right? But I think honesty and sincerity is one that I really appreciate. I do have one comment for our Risk and Audit Committee, and maybe even the Calpers staff as we move forward. These interviews are to audit the financial statements, but not necessarily the information that's in the investment reports. Those are not necessarily audited. So when you think about the CAFR, our comprehensive annual financial report, only portions are audited and other portions are not. And I'm hoping the Risk and Audit Committee going forward will get a better understanding of that maybe in November, about what portions aren't audited, and can we expand the scope of whatever firm the subcommittee chooses or ranks and moves forward to the full committee. I hope we could take a look at that, Chair Miller and Vice Chair Middleton, because I think it's critical for us to have more information that has been audited. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm not seeing any other requests for discussion, and so I would would anyone like to motion a score for BDO USA LLP?
Mr. Chair, could I ask one more question before we move?
Sure.
And Mr. Carlin, is it permissible for us to ask staff as to any exceptional experiences they have had with these firms, either positive or negative?
I think it's appropriate to gently delve into that, not too deeply, but I think that's within bounds. You have some of the staff here, not everybody, but I think it's okay to do so.
Well, Ms. Timberlake, is there anything that is dramatic that you believe we should know from your experience working with any of these firms?
So I don't know about dramatic. I mean, I don't believe, at least I've been here for 4 years. I know we have not worked with E. Bailey in that time. We did have a 1-year engagement with Kpmg, and they did come in sort of rather quickly. I thought that the engagement with Kpmg it ended up being fine. I'm not quite sure what Brock was talking about around the conversations or miscommunications that he'd had with the previous CFO. I don't know if Michelle knows anything about that. But they were, they came in, like I said, rather quickly. They did good work. They really wanted the business, but they didn't get it. I think part of the reason why they didn't get it was because Kpmg, and they've alluded to it in their presentation today, was under a lot of criticism around the AICPA and the deficiencies in their own audits and things like that. So that was a really big deal for us. And I think that was probably more of a contributing factor from what I recall in terms of why they lost the business in 2019. BDO has been our auditor for 2 years. They came in, as you know, they went by second choice after we couldn't come to an agreement with Deloitte. And so, but BDO, I think, has done a good job, at least from what I've observed. And they are really eager to keep the business. And I think they've found us to be a very important client. Hard to do that. I'll ask Michelle maybe if she wants to comment, or anyone else.
I worked directly with both BDO and Kpmg. I came in at the last quarter in September of 2018 when BDO was just kind of finalizing the audit. Kpmg was finalizing the audit. And I've been here for both years of the BDO audit, and both firms did, in my opinion, high quality audit work. I believe I've got knowledge of all 5 firms, and I believe they could all do the work. But I have not worked with directly under audit with CLA, Eide Bailly, or Deloitte and Touche. I have no knowledge, Marlene, of what the conversations between Brock and the previous CFO were. So the answer there is no, I don't know. And I think, you know, I think any choice you guys make is going to be the right one. So.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Ruffino?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 2 quick questions for staff. The first one, it's definitely for staff, and with respect to Board Member Brown's question about expanding the audits to some other areas. Assuming that we did that, would that change the scope of work that we already have set in place during this solicitation? And the second question is about if a firm does not have an office or they do not have a fiscal presence in California, is that a concern? And this is more for staff in terms of their availability, in terms of their function, and it may not be, but I'm just curious whether that's a concern. Is that going to cost us more, for example, or anyways, if you can answer that, that would be great. Thank you.
This is Robert Carlin with the legal office. I just want to jump in briefly with a slight addendum to my earlier answer. I think it's fine for the committee to be asking some of these questions, but I do want to keep the committee in mind that the scoring that you're doing today is based on the presentation and the materials that you've received, and not directly on things like staff's impressions on whether the office's presence in Sacramento is a helpful factor. I just wanted to put that out there quickly.
Got it. Thank you.
I can take a stab at the contract question, though, and Robert could too. That we are contracted. Yes, it would change the scope of work for this particular independent audit, because we're trying to hire somebody to audit the financial statements. But there are provisions in the contract that you can add on additional work. You'd have to go through a whole process to amend the contract once it's signed.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions or discussion, so I'll ask again, would anyone like to motion a score for BDO USA?
Mr. Chair, I would like to motion a score of 640 for BDO.
640, okay.
Wow. I'll second that motion, and it's amazing. I chopped down 640. Maybe it's a lucky number.
I was very close to that as well. So is that a second, Mr. Ruffino?
Yes, I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion from Ms. Middleton, a second from Mr. Ruffino for 640 as a score for BDO. And any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the question. Is Ms. Hopper going to call that, or? Oh, I see her. There she is.
Mr. Chair, do we do just one standard vote for all 5, or we do individual votes for all 5 individual?
I'm not sure. It looked like it was individual scores to me, but I may be mistaken. Ms. Nix?
Mr. Chair, this is Robert Carlin from the legal office. I think you have the flexibility at this point to do it in whichever fashion you think. It might be simpler if the committee more or less concurs on the scores to discuss it informally and then do one motion at the end, or if you'd like to do 5 separate motions, that's also appropriate. However you'd like to proceed.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure logistically how that would work. So
Mr. Chair, if we go through all of them, then we can get consensus and make sure we're all on the same page. And
okay.
perhaps
So
motions we have.
Yes. So would we get motions and seconds for each and then come back and vote? Would that be how we do that?
I think this is Robert Carlin again, Mr. Chair. I think you could discuss it informally and reach an informal consensus and then have one motion at the end.
Okay.
That'd be perfectly fine.
That'll work. So let's with the maker's permission and the second permission, we'll vacate that motion and we'll do it informally. So we have an informal consensus of 640 for BDO. So who's next? So
Mr. Chair?
So yes.
Can we just skip? Do we need to necessarily? So I'll make a motion for KPMG for 695.
Five. Ms. Middleton, do you concur with that?
That's a little high for me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I actually had KPMG. Well,
we'll throw a number.
Yeah, I think we're all starting from different points. So I was thinking of perhaps doing these in the order that we heard them.
Okay.
So we'll start with BDO and then go to CLA. So we had BDO at 640. Where would you see CLA? Someone have a? I would see them as somewhat higher than BDO myself.
I have a 650.
I can go with 650.
650, okay. Okay, and next I had Deloitte and Touche, which I had quite a bit lower. Does anyone have a number they want to?
I had Deloitte at 550.
That's where I had them. How about you, Frank?
Sorry, I didn't catch you. What was the number?
550.
550.
I had a 580, so we're on the same page.
Okay. Hyde Bailey. I had them about the same as Deloitte, actually.
I had them also about the same.
I have it at 600.
Leave them at 5.
Perhaps 575, then.
Yeah, does that sound good? That works for me.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what number did you say, Mr. Chair?
575. We have a informal consensus there. And then finally, we come to KPMG. And I had them, I actually had CLA a little above them, but I'm open to hearing what the rest of the subcommittee thinks.
I went back and forth between CLA and KPMG, and I like different things of each one of them, but ultimately they were extremely close in my mind. I think you saw them much, much higher, almost perfect. So
yeah. So about a tie? Anyone have a number to throw out there, Frank?
Well, you didn't like my first number, but I slightly, I will go slightly higher, and I agree with Board Member Militant, you know, that they, KPMG and CLA, I was impressed for different reasons with either one of them, but I can go with 660, 670 with KPMG.
I could go with either one. What do you think, Ms. Middleton?
I would go with 660.
Okay, sounds like we have a consensus at 660 for KPMG.
I'm good with 660.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion for the following scores. If someone wishes to make the motion, it would be 660 for KPMG, 650 for CLA, 640 for BDO, 575 for Audit, and 550 for Deloitte.
Are you making that motion, Mr.
Or should I guess I'll make the motion. Yeah, I'll make that motion.
And I would second.
And Ms. Middleton seconds that. Any further discussion? Okay, I will call for the question, and I guess it's just us subcommittee members voting. So, Ms. Hopper, if you would call the roll.
Yes. Frank Ruffino for Fiona Ma.
Aye.
Lisa Middleton.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 ayes with David
Okay, and
Miller
I
making
think on this one, I probably should vote too as chair, even though I'm chair, and make it unanimous.
Okay, Mr. Chair, you have an aye on that as well. So I have all ayes with David Miller making the motion, Lisa Middleton making it, seconding it, with KPMG with 660 points, CLA with 650, BDO with 640, Audit with 575, and Deloitte with 550 points.
That is correct. And so at this point, I guess I will ask staff to please take the interview scores and calculate the total scores and the overall ranking. And we'll give staff, what do you need, staff? 10, 15 minutes?
Probably no more than 10. We're almost done with it.
Let's take 10 minutes and then staff will come back with that. And it's 5:15, so my mathematical brain says that's 5:25. I think I got that right this time.